Welcome back to Dark Corners Undead.
Wow, welcome back.
Usually don't speak as well at that point. Just left a gap for no reason.
Yes.
Sorry there's been a little bit of a gap between them, but we are going to keep doing these. It's just both been very busy recently.
Yes.
Who knows when this one's going out? This is our busy time of year. We're coming towards the end of an epic 2 days of shooting. Got a lot of projects coming up, which we're keen to share with you.
Okay, the next special coming up is...
The next special coming up is our Cat People and Curse of the Cat People special, which I think is mainly just going to be called Cat People. Alongside of that, later, but a companion piece to that, we're doing a special about all Val Lewton horrors, of which Cat People is the most famous, and about Lewton himself. Because there are 9 films in that sequence, and some of them are very well known, and some of them... I did a poll on Twitter recently, just asking for favourite horror films of the 1940s, and Lewton films, if I could lump all his films together, he'd have won it easily. Because like 5 of his films showed up a lot, but a couple didn't show up at all, so I think there are ones that people are less aware of.
Very good. Why did he suddenly stop making films?
Why did he suddenly... death.
At what age?
He was 40... Oh, you put me on the spot. I think he was in his 40s. I think he was 47.
Wow.
May have actually been even younger.
Yeah.
He put a lot of pressure on himself. He was killed by his 3rd heart attack.
God, 3rd heart attack at 47. That's...
Well, the story, I mean, I'm
brutal.
preempting the video a little bit here, but he had his 2nd heart attack and went back to work 2 days later, and perhaps not unsurprisingly had his 3rd the same evening he went back to work. He was very much, he was driven by his work.
Yeah.
But I'm very passionate about it, which I think shows in the films. And it's really enjoyable watching them and writing this, so I hope you'll all enjoy that when it comes out. All being well, we are doing a standalone special about Paul Wegener's film The Golem, the silent classic from 1922.
Well, why that film in particular?
I'm glad you asked that, Graham. That's kind of to coincide with the release of my next book, which is called The Golem of 2020. That'll be out, all being well, that'll be out in mid-October. It should certainly be out by the end of October at the absolute latest. So there, in the run-up to Christmas, if you're looking for a great present for the horror fan in your life, then that's there.
And of course, if people want to get it signed, they can just message you through Twitter, or you can...
Yeah, I can send them like a stick-on book plate, or we can come to some arrangement where the book comes to me and I'll sign it and send it on to you.
Very
But
good.
obviously that will cost more.
Very good. I guess
Postage.
Probably in the next Undead, once it's published, we'll have a little bit more of a conversation about
that. Would be nice.
Yes.
I'm happy to talk about it, although currently terrified by how it's going to be received.
Yes, pick 2020. So you've embraced full Corona.
I decided to to be perfectly honest, the pandemic is a pretty good time to set a horror story, and it suited a story that I already had. So I just thought, lean into it, just try to address it in some way, maybe get some of my own things off my chest. That's always what I do with these books, is get some of my own stuff off my chest at the same time.
Yeah, I'm very fascinated how in the future films and television will deal with 2020/2021. We keep saying 2020, and it's now near the end of 2021, and we're still in a bit of a pickle.
I mean, my book is set in 2020, but it is this thing that most TV shows tried to sort of shoot around it.
Yeah.
And now the ones that embraced it, there's the sitcom Superstore, which I'm a big fan of. Because of its nature, it being set in a department store, it seemed ideal, so they just went for it. And that now looks like such a smart decision. And I think they did a really good job, actually. It was their final series, but they've done it really well.
I was watching Billions, and the way they deal with it, they just had a big time jump. So the series is going along, and then literally they jump over the whole pandemic to when they're coming back to the office. They're all wearing masks, and the main character goes, right, who here is vaccinated? Okay, good. Take off your masks. Problem solved.
It's interesting. I've been starting to look at agents again, and a couple of agents, their websites I've gone on, then agents have specifically said no stories set during the pandemic.
Right.
So I'm guessing they are being inundated.
Yes.
So another real positive for mine.
Yes, and then we go into December where we'll be doing our advent calendar. We've shot the first 10 of those.
We have, just this morning.
Very productive of us.
Yeah.
In fact, why are you so red in the face today,
because it was absolutely beautiful in London today, and nothing says Christmas like sunburn.
Yes.
And to be honest, that probably is the longest I have been in the sun in the last 18 months.
Yeah.
You see, that was a joke. I'm now wondering if that is actually the longest I've been outside in the last 18
Probably
months.
what did we do? We started shooting at we went out about 10:30.
Yeah.
And we got back about 2:30. So
4 hours.
So probably about 4 hours we were out there in this blistering UK summer weather.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it may not be the longest I've been outside, although it also may be, come to think of it. But it's certainly the longest time I've been in that sort of sun, because we haven't had that sort of sun.
No.
But anyway, now we've gone from pandemic to the weather. That's our advent calendar, which we do every year, counting you down to Christmas with great movie posters. Really looking forward to that as well. You'll
have to join us on Patreon if you want to know what this calendar's about. We've revealed it there, but we'll hold off a little bit longer here.
Yeah. Just I can think of better reasons you could join us on Patreon, but that's one of them.
What's up next?
Right, so one of our followers on Twitter, and someone who I know to be a long-standing fan of the show, Killian H. Gore, has written a horror movie quiz book. It's not exactly a quiz book; it's a puzzle book. There are quizzes in it, but there's also all sorts of other puzzles and stuff as well. And asked if we wouldn't mind taking a look at it, and we wouldn't. Do you know, I've never actually questioned whether or not that's his real name. If it is, it feels like sort of nominative determinism. That you are always going to be interested in horror movies if your surname is Gore.
Well, let's see how good you are. Chuck it over.
Yeah, all right. So this is where we sort of expose the terrible truth behind Dark Corners, that I know shit.
Director Ridley Scott initially wanted to have Ripley's head bitten off by the xenomorph at the end of Alien. True or false?
A head bitten off. It's 50-50 true.
Where are the answers? Hold on.
I'm having grave doubts about true now. I'll stick with true.
Bear with me. There are mazes in this book.
Yes. There are. That's the thing. That we've sort of like for the purposes of this, we're doing the sort of the question answer ones. But this book also has mazes. It has spot the difference. Has all sorts of sort of like visual puzzles, anagrams. There's a lot of for a horror quiz book, because it would be easy enough to just write 1,000 horror questions. You'd think. We've been trying to do it for years, but there is actually a lot of diverse, different types of puzzle in there. It's a lot of fun.
I like the fact that.
I'll tell you what I will say. I wish that the answer pages were the pages on which the questions was referred to in the answer. Would you like me to come and find it for you? It's the first of the answer pages that is
got
earmarked.
It. Right. So, did you say true or false?
I said true.
Correct.
That was worth waiting for.
I would have said false myself, but
right.
There you go. Black Christmas star Margaret Kidder, also known as Lois Lane from Star Wars.
From Superman.
Dying wish was that her body be fed to wolves. True or false?
I'm going to say false.
It's true, but it didn't happen.
Ah, dear. I guess there's probably some sort of... I was going to say health and safety, but by that point you're probably past health and safety.
Yeah. Friday the 13th, Part 6, your favourite of the Friday the 13th movies. Jason Lives director once pitched a Cheech and Chong Meet Jason movie to Paramount Pictures.
I'll buy that. True.
True. It was I like the disclaimer here. It was intended to be more of a comedy horror.
Was it?
Names of actors who appear in the film, and you need to tell me the film.
Right. Oh, this is the one with supporting actors,
supporting
isn't it?
Actors.
3 supporting actors who appeared in a film. Okay.
Okay, this one I think is easy.
Okay.
I'm going to see if you can get it on the first name.
Oh.
Nancy Allan.
Oh. Now I'm getting mixed up with who Nancy Allan is.
Okay. William Katz.
Now maybe I'm confused.
and Amy Irving. I was right, but I saw all three of them.
Right.
Okay, do you want those names again? Nancy Allan, William Catt, Amy Irving.
I feel like we're revealing my stupidity here, because I feel like I should know that.
Written by Stephen King.
Right, you see, I'm...
Man, the audience is screaming at me right now.
The audience is screaming at me. No, I don't know.
A Stephen King book, just start naming
Stephen
them.
King book. Suddenly there are no Stephen King books in my head.
Take a punt. A Stephen King book that got adapted into a good horror.
Yeah. Oh, a good horror.
Yeah.
But it's not The Shining.
It's not The Shining.
Carrie?
Yes. Well, that was worth waiting for.
I got it right, but I still don't feel I came out of that looking good. The main sort of like subject we wanted to talk about in this video was unsung heroes of horror, sort of people behind the scenes who just get less credit than they deserve for roles in films, because we do focus a great deal on actors and directors and to a lesser extent writers, so it's sort of worth celebrating some of the others, and there are literally so many who are worth mentioning. So did you have any? Or
I didn't do my homework, if I'm honest.
Well, I'll kick it off, and you can hesitate.
And I will heckle
look
you.
up IMDb. Anyway, I wanted to talk just because I've been doing the Val Lewton ones, and that introduced me to a bunch of new names, one of which was Nicholas Masuraka, who is a cinematographer who definitely wants to be better known. He did 5 of the Lewton horrors, including Cat People and Curse of the Cat People. He was also a cinematographer on Stranger on the Third Floor, which is considered one of the first film noirs, and that's really what he's great at. And perhaps, I don't know if you could say it was a limitation, but it's certainly that maybe he's not better known because he has a very distinctive style, and that's what he's known for. That sort of really strong black and white photography, the strong shadows that you get in the Lewton horrors and also in film noir. And the other ones I wanted to mention from that group, just because these guys, every single one of the Val Lewton horrors is the art directors are Albert D'Agostino and Walter Keller, and the set decorator is Daryl Silvera, who most famously does in Cat People in Arena's apartment. You have this wonderful picture of a panther across a screen, and he painted that. And he did all of those. D'Agostino and Silvera also worked on Hitchcock's Notorious. There's actually a surprising... I was looking, just because I've been doing this, and I've also been doing the Hitchcock thing for Patreon. If you join us on Patreon, you can find out what that means. Then
you could explain what that means since you're there.
I am doing something called 52 Weeks of Hitchcock, where I'm watching every single Alfred Hitchcock film and doing a half-hour video about it for our Patreon supporters each week. So I've been looking at those films as well. And there's a surprising amount of crossover between Notorious and the Cat People films, because Notorious is RKO, and of course everybody works for the studio at that time. So although Hitchcock wasn't signed with RKO, he was just on loan out. He's working with their team, and so there's a lot of crossover with the Lewton crew. Mm-hmm. So I found that interesting. So another name, one that's we've mentioned before, but still worth mentioning again, is Charles D. Hall. You're nodding, so you know who that is. That's Universal's principal set designer, so the man who did the sets for Frankenstein, for Dracula, for all those ones. And I wanted to mention him again because when we've talked about him before, really just in that context, and that is why we're able to mention him. I think it's worth mentioning where he came from, because he'd been in film for quite a long time, that he was Charlie Chaplin's principal set designer. So he'd done sort of like Gold Rush and The Kid, let me tell you, when you go back and look at those films, because of course Chaplin was bringing his own Victorian upbringing into stuff like The Kid, there is sort of a crossover with the Universal horrors, and you think, wow, these do actually have a similar aesthetic once you know to look for it. So he's definitely worth saying.
Into the emergency quiz round. For this quiz, you need to fill in the movie tagline and let me know the name of the film.
Oh dear.
Okay, the tagline is, the only thing more terrifying than the last 12 minutes of this film are the first blank.
How long would a film be? Okay, the first 78.
92.
So the film was a little longer than I thought.
Okay, so what's the film?
I don't know.
By process of deduction, you know that it is 104 minutes long.
Oh, well, that's narrowed it right down for me.
It was Suspiria.
Okay, no, I wasn't going to get that.
Okay. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will blank the earth.
Well, I'm going to... Even if I didn't know that, I would say that was probably Walk.
And the film?
Dawn of the Dead.
Correct.
And you got that there. That was said with total confidence.
We'll cut that one.
If it wasn't Walk the Earth, you could actually fill that in with so many better options.
Okay. If this one doesn't blank, you're already dead.
If this one doesn't blank...
Yes. Oh, blank you.
Blank you.
Sorry, if this one doesn't blank you, you're already dead.
Scare?
Yes.
If this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead. The Frighteners?
No.
No. I don't know.
Big silver ball is your hint.
Oh, Phantasm.
Correct. You may proceed with the rest of the episode.
We have talked about sets and stuff on Hammer. We've not talked about the fact that most of Hammer's films are period, so they require the costumes. And again, I don't think it's something we've ever really talked about. So I was going to mention giving a shout out to Molly Arbuthnot and Rosemary Burrows, who I believe she was still alive at the time of writing of the book that I got this information from.
I thought you were going to say she was still alive at the time I wrote this note. Unfortunately, yesterday.
No, I am basically these particular ones I got from Wayne Kinsey's book on Hammer's Unsung Heroes, which is an absolutely fantastic reference book about behind the scenes on Hammer Studios, and they were consecutively wardrobe mistress. Molly Arbuthnot went from 1951 to 62. Rosemary Burrows from 63 to 72. She went on to do films like Harry Potter, Oliver Reed, Gladiator with Oliver Reed, which was nice because she'd been wardrobe mistress for some of the films he'd been in with Hammer. And apparently he did remember her. And they sort of like, oh, great to see you again. But her and Christopher Lee, I think maybe Lee, in a tetchier moment, said she was nasty, and she said, you're horrid, and that became their nicknames for each other throughout the years, which I rather like. Another one I wanted to mention, Fritz Arno Wagner, and I wanted to mention him because he's cameraman during the Expressionist period of German cinema, and I think he gets very much overshadowed by Karl Freund, who's obviously the better known one, but Wagner did films. He did Nosferatu, M, Destiny, Haunted Castle. So really important films. Those are all films by Fritz Lang and F.W. Murnau. And I think he's a fantastic cameraman. His career sort of died off during the war, during the Second World War. He didn't really find a place there. And he died falling off a camera truck. So died on the job.
The emergency quiz rounds. This is called Voices from Beyond the Grave. Okay, so I'm going to give you a line. It's from a dead actor.
Okay.
Said it. Okay.
So this is not a quote from a movie?
No.
Oh, fuck. These are, unless the quote is, my name is. How?
To win a woman, take her with you to see Dracula.
That's got to be Bela Lugosi.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay, number one. Who wants to see me as Hamlet? Very few, but millions want to see me as Frankenstein, so that's the one I do.
See, I was going to say Karloff, but now I'm thinking, would they get that right? It's sort of like the creature. I might have heard that before. I think that's Peter Cushing.
It is Peter Cushing. 2 for 2. Okay.
I'm better at this than I expected. This is clearly the round. This is my round.
We're going to cut this round. I'll never get sick of zombies. I just get sick of producers.
That's got to be George A. Romero.
It is. Well done.
These are well-chosen quotes. You could, because I think I heard the Cushing one before. The others I haven't, but you can definitely tell who that is from the tone of voice and
yes,
from the content of the quote.
Hero.
This is the last one I've sort of made a note with. We can continue to talk about the subject, and this was one I really wanted to mention, and someone who will hopefully be able to talk about in a future special if we ever get round to doing another King Kong one, because I'm not totally happy with the one that we did, and it's not really focused on the film. And the person I want to mention, and I always want to mention in this discussion, is Ruth Rose, who became Ruth Scherdzak when she married Ernest Scherdzak, who obviously one of the instigators of Kong. And she is the writer of King Kong, and the reason that I always want to name check her is that she gets no credit on Peter Jackson's remake. He only credits the men, and that pisses me off, because his film couldn't be any more based on her script, really. He's just expanded it beyond its dimensions. And so I was doing a bit of reading up on her, and I just had to make some notes because I thought she'd got an amazing life. She was a stage actor turned research assistant to William Beebe. Have you heard of him?
No.
He's quite a well-known zoologist and sort of animal behaviourist. He's best known for being one of the first Western people, as it were, to describe the vampire bat by letting it feed on him. She would then, and it was through her work with Beebe that she got involved with Cooper and Scherdzak back when they were making the sort of adventure documentary films that they made. Grass is the one I've seen done properly on a big cinema screen. That's an absolutely fantastic film. Chang is another one that they did. They're sort of walking a line of what a documentary is. It's sort of constructed documentary in a way, but as portrayals of a life that no longer exists, they're extraordinary films. And so she got involved with them. She was almost killed by a hippo while they were shooting Four Feathers.
Right.
When they were in the jungle, she managed the commissary, she ran the payroll, she was the doctor to their native employees, 200 of them, and she manned the camera and the gun when necessary, and saved one of the other crew members by shooting a crocodile that was trying to eat him. But because she'd worked with Beebe and she had this ongoing interest in zoology, she always regretted shooting the crocodile. And she really loved animals. And I think you get that in Kong, that one of the things that we always talk about in Kong is that Kong is very much the victim. However much he's on the rampage and killing people, you still feel for him as the victim. And I would imagine that's her voice coming through, because the men were more on the white game hunter kick.
Yeah.
So I think she's a fascinating woman, and I hope we can talk more about her in a future Kong special, because she deserves more credit, not least because Jackson didn't give her any.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da! It's surprise quiz round.
It's not that big a surprise when it sort of comes when I stop talking.
It'd be a bit rude if I was like, he's talking about a woman.
My coffee's cold.
Cut off his mic. Okay, so this is, you know how sequels have a little thing after the title? So it would be...
Like a subtitle?
Yes. These are the subtitles.
Oh, right, okay.
You need to let me know the film franchise.
Okay. How hard can that be?
Killer Queen.
Oh, The Babysitter.
Yes.
Which we reviewed for for Dark Corners streaming.
Oh, we did, didn't we? Oh, yeah. Anarchy.
Is that The Purge?
It is. These are films you don't tend to watch.
Well, the Babysitter we did, like I said,
Yeah.
we reviewed it. Purge, that was a little bit of a punt, but yeah.
Farewell to the Flesh.
Oh, Candyman.
Yes. Oh, you're nailing it.
It's about time. I'm getting into my stride now. This is like restoring some of my reputation.
Okay.
Very little classic here, is there?
Oh, hell no.
That's a subtitle for a
Yes.
film. Oh, hell no.
Yes?
So it must be something to do with hell. Hellraiser.
No.
I don't know.
Sharknado.
Oh.
Probably best.
I'm okay not knowing that.
Any other unsung heroes?
Those are the only ones I made notes of, but
Yeah.
the fact is that any given film has so many of these people, and there are ones that stand out, and these are sort of like standout examples about whom I know a little bit, and you could find something interesting to say. But the fact is, all these people need credit,
Yeah.
and they're all sort of like playing their role. And I'm sure you guys, one of the reasons we've done this is because we'd really like you to sort of like get in touch in the comments below and let us know your unsung heroes of horror.
Yeah.
And
then we may be able to talk about them a bit more.
yeah. Maybe Graham will do some research next time. But
Look,
it's like what we were talking about with the debuts. It's a never-ending discussion.
Yeah, my feeling was if I started talking about them, they would no longer be unsung.
Oh right, you want them to stay in the shadows where they belong.
Yes.
But I mean, like I said, there's this the book
That sounded better in my head.
I've got a book specifically on Hammer's Unsung Heroes, and that's a big, chunky book. And you can just I didn't just flip through it at random, but I went through okay, we've never talked about Hammer costumes. Who are the people whose names I need to know? And these two came up.
Yeah.
And I could have done the same with editing. I could have done the same with sound recording. I think especially with horror, there's an awful lot of technical stuff that sort of goes into it. That goes. So we'll be talking about the Lewton bus in the upcoming special, and it's generally called the Lewton bus, but evidence suggests Mark Robeson, who's the editor, is the one who came up with it, and that's to do with it's just because of the way he cut it, and also the way that he cut the sound, because there's the sound of a cat that goes into the bus hiss, and it's the way these things are put together. And that's a less effect. Even whoever came up with it, it doesn't really matter. It's less effective without the picture working, without the sound working, without the initial footage to start with. It's all these things coming together.
Yeah.
That's filmmaking. It's collaborative.
Yeah, it's interesting because, as you say, so many people are on sets all the time making the film that you can't do it without. And there's a lot of those roles which can be pretty thankless.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that when you've got those people who are good, they will work all the time.
Yeah.
And you won't know it, but it may be their little bit of effort is what makes sure that film gets done on time, you know?
Mm. Yeah, the people you don't notice their presence when they're there, but you know it if they're not, or if you've got someone. If you've got a worst boy rather than a best boy, then your film is just going to be shit.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think that was a reasonable discussion. It's not really a discussion. That was just me monologuing.
But on the downside for me not having done my homework, it does mean I've now got to go and find clips to make all of that stuff work. So it's not just you standing there reading notes.
Well, I want to get this stuff right. I mean, it's all about, you want to learn about this.
The good thing is you're going to look much better after I've finished. Except for all of the
Except for when I'm trying to answer some of these questions.
Exactly. All right. Yes, as I say, do join us on Patreon. You get a special thanks at the end of the specials.
You do.
You've got a massive archive of content now that's exclusive to Patreon, and you can get access to a good chunk of that for a mere $1.
Yeah, the Hitchcock series I mentioned, 52 Weeks of Alfred Hitchcock, which is now up to week 39 as of tonight, in fact, at the time of recording. That is available for $1 a month.
And I also upload all of the specials to everybody gets that ad-free.
Yes.
So
if you don't like adverts,
yeah. So for a mere
give us money another way.
Mere $1 a month, you can watch all the specials ad-free. So, but yes, all of that means loads for us. It helps us make these shows and gives us the time and the resources to research them properly. Cool.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Thank you.